My wife had a secret folder called Backup Plan with photos of her boss and a step-by-step guide on how to seduce him. She had no idea I'd already seen everything, or that my revenge was already in motion. All right, Reddit. So I found my wife's detailed plan to destroy her boss's marriage with fake AI photos so she could trade up from me to him. Documented everything, got her fired, exposed her scheme, and watched her spiral into criminal charges when she couldn't handle losing. Grab some popcorn and enjoy the chaos. So there I was, thinking I had my life figured out. I'm 35, worked as a network security analyst, had a decent house in the suburbs, and a wife who seemed happy enough. We weren't living some Instagram fantasy, but we were solid stable. The kind of marriage where you don't question things, because there's nothing obvious to question. Turns out my wife Fiona had been running a side project, and I don't mean an Etsy shop. The whole thing started falling apart on a Thursday afternoon when I was setting up our new external hard drive. Fiona had been nagging me for weeks to configure automatic backups for her work laptop. She was paranoid about losing files. Fair enough. She worked as an executive assistant to some VP named Donald at a tech company downtown, always stressed about his meetings and presentations and whatever else executives stress about typical corporate ladder climber stuff. I'm doing my thing, connecting drives, configuring settings, when I notice her desktop folder organization is a complete disaster, files everywhere. Zero structure, the kind of chaos that makes my eye twitch. I work in security, so seeing this kind of digital mess is like nails on a chalkboard. But then I see something that doesn't fit the usual chaos. A folder tucked away in a subfolder within a subfolder, buried like she was trying to hide it. It's called Backup Plan. Now, I should have closed the laptop right there. Been the good husband who respects privacy and boundaries. But something about that name felt off. Too corporate, too deliberate, and my gut was screaming at me to look, so I clicked it. Inside were 3 subfolders: Research, Timeline, and Materials. The Research folder? Screenshots. Dozens of them. LinkedIn profiles, Facebook posts, Instagram stories. All featuring Donald and his wife Amanda. Photos of their house from real estate listings, complete with the asking price circled in red. $2.4 million. For the record, Fiona had written notes in the margins. Upgrade from current situation and achievable lifestyle goal. But it got darker. Screenshots of Amanda's daily routine going back weeks, where she got coffee at 7:15 a.m. every morning. Same Starbucks, same order, written in Fiona's notes. What gym she went to on Tuesdays and Thursdays, complete with class schedules highlighted. When she posted on Instagram, what times she was most active online, what routes she jogged, even what grocery store she used, and what days she typically shopped there. Fiona had been stalking this woman like she was planning a heist or building a dossier for corporate espionage. Photos of Amanda's car with the license plate visible. Screenshots of her Facebook check-ins at restaurants. Even her kids' school schedule. Pickup times, drop-off times, which days they had after-school activities. The level of detail was terrifying. This wasn't casual social media browsing. This was surveillance. The timeline folder had a month-by-month plan laid out in a detailed spreadsheet with color-coded phases. Started 3 months ago with Phase 1, build friendship with A, and progressed through milestones like establish trust, create dependence, identify vulnerabilities, prepare evidence. It ended with execute plan scheduled for next month, followed by transition period and finalize exit strategy. Each phase had notes. Detailed clinical notes that read like a military operation. Fiona had been systematically befriending Amanda over the past 3 months, documenting every interaction like a scientist recording lab results. Things like a mentioned D works late Thursdays, opportunity window, and a feels unappreciated, exploit emotional vulnerability, and a expressed concern about D's stress levels. Position myself as solution. But the materials folder? That's where my blood went cold. Dozens of photos that looked like Fiona and Donald together. Not just innocent office candids, restaurants with romantic lighting, hotel lobbies, one in what looked like a bedroom with rumpled sheets visible in the background. Another showed them in what appeared to be a bar, leaning close together, his hand seemingly on her shoulder. One more in a parking garage at night, standing by a car that looked like Donald's Mercedes. The images looked kinda realistic, almost convincing at first glance. The kind of images that would destroy a marriage if you didn't know better. I checked the metadata on the first few files. All created in the last 2 months using some AI image generation software I'd never heard of, something called Midjourney or Stable Diffusion. The file properties weren't entirely clear, but the digital fingerprints were obvious. Creation dates, software signatures, version numbers, all there in the file properties. No camera information, no GPS data, no legitimate photographic metadata whatsoever. Just AI generation timestamps and model information. She'd made fake evidence of an affair that wasn't happening. The plan was laid out in a document titled Final Steps. Fiona was going to send these photos to Amanda anonymously through a burner email account she'd already created, time it with fake text message screenshots she'd already mocked up using Photoshop, and completely obliterate their marriage. The notes explained her reasoning with cold, calculated precision. Once Donald's marriage imploded, and he was emotionally vulnerable, he'd turned to Fiona for support. She'd already positioned herself as his trusted confidant at work. Late nights, shared projects, always being available when he needed something. And with Amanda out of the picture, she'd swoop in as the obvious romantic upgrade. But here's the part that really got me. Buried in a subfolder labeled Justification. D doesn't see me yet, but he will. When Amanda's gone, he'll finally understand what we have. The connection we share during late nights at the office. How I'm the only one who truly understands his vision. It was like watching someone convince themselves they were in love while simultaneously planning a corporate takeover. The cognitive dissonance was staggering. And then I found the breakup script. For me, labeled Exit Strategy M. She'd even included talking points for the breakup conversation. Phrases like, "We've grown apart," and "I need someone more ambitious." I sat there staring at the screen for probably 20 minutes, just processing the scope of what I was seeing. This wasn't some impulsive crush or emotional affair that got out of hand. This was calculated, methodical manipulation spanning months. My hands were shaking, but not from emotion, from pure adrenaline. Fiona had been planning her exit strategy for months. Well, now it was my turn. And I had something she didn't. Actual evidence instead of fabricated garbage. I didn't just screenshot that stuff, I documented everything like I was building a case for the FBI. First, I pulled the metadata from every single AI-generated photo. Timestamps, software signatures, version numbers, proof they were created, not captured. Each file had embedded data showing the exact AI generation software used, the specific model version, the creation timestamp down to the second. Then, I extracted the full EXIF data showing exactly when and where she'd made them. Not a single one had legitimate camera data. Every single image screamed fabricated. I verified digital signatures on her planning documents, pulled creation dates, modification histories, tracked every edit she'd made over the past 3 months. Microsoft Word keeps meticulous records if you know where to look. And I know where to look. I could prove exactly when she'd written each phase of her plan, show that this wasn't some impulsive idea, but a methodical operation she'd been refining for months. I didn't just copy the files like some amateur. I ran SHA-256 hash verification on every single file to generate cryptographic fingerprints, proving authenticity. If this ended up in court, and her lawyer tried to claim I'd tampered with evidence, I could show blockchain-verified timestamps proving these files existed in their original state. I even pulled her browser history from the laptop's cache. Searches for how to use AI image generator, creating realistic fake photos, revenge on cheating spouse, ironic since she was the one planning betrayal, and multiple visits to divorce attorney websites where she'd been researching how to maximize her settlement from me. The whole process took me about 2 hours. Fiona wasn't getting home for another 2 hours. I called my buddy Ricardo, guy I've known since college, works in corporate law, has zero patience for nonsense. "Get over here," I said. "I'm gonna need backup." He showed up 30 minutes later, looking concerned. "Bro, you look like somebody died." "Somebody's about to," I said, and showed him everything. Ricardo's expression went from confused to disgusted to absolutely angry in about 3 minutes. He set down his keys and leaned forward, reading through the timeline. Then, the fake photos. Then, the breakup script. Holy crap, this is sociopath-level planning. I know. Jesus Christ. She literally made a cost-benefit analysis of trading you in. We spent the next 2 hours mapping it out. I called a divorce attorney. She agreed to meet me first thing in the morning. The strategy was simple. Get the divorce paperwork ready first, then expose Fiona to Donald before she could execute her plan. That night, I acted completely normal when Fiona got home. She complained about work, Donald's demanding schedule, his stressful board meetings, his wife who didn't appreciate him. I made dinner. We watched TV. She had no idea I'd spent the afternoon building her funeral pyre. The next morning, I met with the divorce attorney. She was exactly what I needed. Sharp, direct, ruthless. "This evidence is damning," she said, reviewing the files on her tablet. "Creating false evidence to destroy someone's marriage could potentially be criminal, depending on how far she takes it. The stalking alone is actionable. How fast can we move? I can have divorce papers ready by Monday. We'll file for fault-based divorce citing fraud and misconduct. The evidence makes this clear-cut." Now, the second part of the plan. Monday morning arrived. I'd barely slept, running through scenarios in my head, but I felt sharp-focused. Ready. At 9:47 a.m., I sent an anonymous email to Donald from a burner account I'd created through a VPN-routed service. Clean, untraceable, professional. The kind of anonymous communication that couldn't be traced back to me, even if someone tried. Subject line: regarding Fiona Patterson and her backup plan. I attached everything. The complete timeline showing all 4 phases of her plan. Every file included SHA-256 hash values to prove I hadn't doctored anything. The metadata was timestamped and could be blockchain verified if anyone doubted authenticity. If Donald's legal team wanted to verify this evidence, they'd find it absolutely airtight, forensically sound. Then I sent a copy to my attorney with instructions to forward the complete package to Donald's HR department and legal team. Let them see exactly what kind of liability Fiona represented to their company. And then I waited. Fiona had left for work at 8:30 a.m. like normal, kissed me goodbye at the door like everything was fine. I watched her drive away, knowing with absolute certainty that it was the last time she'd leave this house as my wife, the last time she'd kiss me goodbye, the last time she'd complain about work stress that was about to get infinitely worse. I poured myself a fresh cup of coffee, the expensive stuff I saved for special occasions, and sat at the kitchen table phone next to my laptop. Security camera feeds up on one monitor. The waiting was almost meditative. No second guessing. My attorney texted sent to HR and legal. They're reviewing now. Another text. HR director just called Donald. Emergency meeting being scheduled. Then my phone started lighting up Fiona calling. I watched her name flash on the screen and let it ring out. Watched it go to voicemail. She called again and again. 3 more calls in rapid succession. I could picture her in some hallway or conference room, panicking, desperately trying to reach me to figure out what was happening. I silenced my phone and went back to my coffee. Text messages started flooding in. Something is happening at work. Donald just called me into a meeting. Michael, call me, I don't know what's going on. Call me, please. I read each one as it came through. Didn't respond. Just watched her spiral in real time through text messages that got progressively more frantic and desperate. My attorney texted confirmed. HR is moving to terminate. Legal wants her gone within the hour to minimize liability exposure. Then another text. It's done. She's been fired. Security is escorting her out of the building. Perfect. Now I just had to wait for her to come home. She walked through the door at 11:34 a.m. like a hurricane making landfall. Face red, mascara running down her cheeks, hands shaking as she slammed her purse on the kitchen counter. I was still sitting at the table with my coffee. What is happening? Her voice was shaking. Part rage, part panic, part disbelief. Donald called me into his office this morning with HR and they showed me everything. My files, my laptop, everything from my folder. Who would? I took a slow sip of my coffee. Didn't say anything. Just looked at her. Her eyes went wide, then narrow. Realization dawning across her face like a slow-motion car crash. You went through my laptop. Your backup plan folder? Yeah, fascinating, Red. Who knew you were such a writer? You had no right, that was private. Private? I actually laughed. Couldn't help it. The audacity was impressive. You were planning to destroy an innocent woman's marriage with fake AI photos, and you're worried about privacy? You don't understand. Donald and I have a real connection. Something you wouldn't understand because you've never had actual ambition. You're content being mediocre forever. I set my coffee down. Guess who got fired, though? Her jaw tightened. Then something shifted in her expression. Fine. You want honesty? You're weak, Michael. You've been weak for years. Satisfied with your little middle management job, your tiny paycheck, your complete lack of drive to be anything more than average. Do you know how embarrassing it is telling people what my husband does for a living? Oh, he's in IT. While I'm working for an actual executive, someone who matters, someone with real power and real money. There it is. Donald makes more in bonuses than you make in a year. He drives a car that costs more than you'll earn in 5 years. His watch costs more than your entire wardrobe. And you want to know the worst part? He doesn't even see me yet because he's stuck with Amanda, that pathetic suburban housewife who spends his money on yoga classes and thinks running a PTA meeting makes her important. She drives a minivan, Michael. A minivan. Like some basic mom who's given up on life. But once she's gone, once he realizes what I can offer. You mean once you destroy their marriage with fake evidence, you jealous loser? It's strategy, Michael. Something you've never understood. You think relationships are about love and loyalty and all that Hallmark nonsense? But real adults understand that life is about positioning yourself for success. She was on a roll now, years of resentment pouring out. Do you know what it's like watching my friend's husband succeed while mine stays stagnant? Oliver's husband just made partner at his law firm. Melissa's husband sold his startup for 8 figures. And mine? Mine fixes computer problems and thinks a raise to $85,000 is an accomplishment worth celebrating. You done? No, I'm not done. She started screaming, "You're a boy, Michael. Donald is a man. A real man who commands respect, who walks into rooms and people actually listen. You walk into rooms and people ask you to fix the printer, that's the difference." I just sat there looking at her, letting her words hang in the air, letting her believe she'd landed some devastating blow. You done? I slid the divorce papers across the table. Fault-based divorce citing fraud and misconduct. My attorney's confident we can have this finalized in a few months given the mountain of evidence I documented. That's what's happening now. The color drained from her face. You can't be serious. Oh, I'm dead serious. And here's the best part. I also sent all your files to Amanda this morning. She knows everything. You told Amanda? Her voice went up an octave. Pure panic now. You had no right. She deserved to know she was being stalked and targeted. She's filing a restraining order as we speak. So add that to your accomplishments today. This isn't over. I'll fight this. I'll tell everyone you're lying, that you faked those files. With blockchain-verified timestamps and cryptographic hash signatures? Good luck. Oh, and Donald? He fired you 2 hours ago. Got confirmation from my attorney's contact. They cut you loose faster than you can say executive compensation package. She just stood there, mouth open, unable to process how fast her entire world had imploded. Now get out of my house. You've got until 8 p.m. to pack your stuff. After that, I'm changing the locks and anything you left behind becomes garbage. This is my house too. Check the deed. My name only. My down payment. You moved in after we got married. Legally, you're essentially a tenant, and I'm evicting you. 8 p.m., Fiona. You weak, pathetic little man. She looked at me with pure hatred. The mask was completely gone now. No more pretense. Just raw fury at being beaten. I hope you die alone. She turned and stormed upstairs without another word. I heard her in the bedroom, slamming drawers, throwing things into suitcases, probably crying and cursing, and trying to figure out how everything had gone so catastrophically wrong so fast. I sat back down at the kitchen table and finished my coffee. 30 minutes later, she came downstairs with 2 suitcases and a cardboard box. Her face was red and puffy from crying, mascara completely ruined, but her jaw was still set in that stubborn way that said she wasn't ready to admit defeat yet. Where am I supposed to go? Hotel, parents' house, your car, a friend's couch. Really don't care. Not my problem anymore. She stood there for another few seconds, like she was waiting for me to change my mind, to tell her we could work through this, to give her some opening to manipulate her way back in. This isn't over, she finally said. Yeah, it is. She slammed the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Over the next 2 weeks, Fiona tried everything in her playbook. She showed up at my office on a Wednesday afternoon. Security walked her out while my coworkers watched through the windows. She sent texts from burner numbers with fake area codes. I blocked them all and forwarded the screenshots to my attorney. I filed every single incident with my attorney, built a comprehensive harassment file that would make it crystal clear who the real victim was here. But Fiona's life? That spiraled fast and hard. Donald didn't just fire her. He made sure everyone in the industry knew exactly what she'd done. Tech executive circles are surprisingly small and gossipy. Within 2 weeks, she'd had 3 job interviews suddenly canceled after prospective employers made their standard reference check calls. One HR director apparently told her straight up, "We spoke with your previous employer. Creating fake, compromising images of a superior and stalking his family is not the kind of risk profile we're looking for." She was radioactive in her entire field. By week 4, she was living with her parents in their retirement community. 34 years old, unemployed, divorced, and moving back into her childhood bedroom because she couldn't afford rent anywhere in the city. Her mom called my attorney once, asking if there was anything that could be done to help Fiona move forward with her life. My attorney politely explained that Fiona's employment situation was a direct result of her own documented actions, and that I had no obligation to facilitate her career rehabilitation. 3 weeks after she left, I was in the kitchen making dinner when the doorbell rang. It was 6:47 p.m. on a Thursday. I checked the security camera feed on my phone first. After all the harassment attempts, I'd learned to screen visitors. Fiona was standing on the porch. She looked rough. Hair unwashed, wearing sweatpants and an oversized hoodie, eyes puffy like she'd been crying for days. Her car was parked on the street, some beat-up Honda I didn't recognize, probably borrowed from her parents. I should have just ignored it. Let her stand there until she gave up. But curiosity got the better of me. I opened the door but didn't step aside, just stood in the doorway blocking her path. "Michael." Her voice was small, broken, nothing like the screaming woman who'd left 3 weeks ago. "Thank you for answering. I wasn't sure you would." I didn't say anything, just looked at her. "Can I come in? Please, I just want to talk." "No." She looked down at her feet, took a shaky breath. I messed up. I messed up so badly, and I don't know how to fix it." I leaned against the doorframe. Still didn't say anything. "I've applied to 43 jobs in the last 2 weeks. 43, Michael. And every single one has either ghosted me or straight up told me they can't hire me because of what happened with Donald. My entire career is gone. No one in the industry will touch me. Okay, I've been staying with my parents, sleeping in my old bedroom. I'm 34 years old, I have no job, no prospects, no future. The lawyer bills wiped out my savings. I have nothing." I checked my watch. "I was wrong about you, so completely wrong. You're not weak or mediocre or any of those horrible things I said. You're stable and loyal and dependable. All the things that actually matter in a marriage." She took a step closer. I didn't move. "I spent 3 months planning to leave you for a man who never wanted me. And in the process, I threw away someone who actually loved me, who was actually there for me, who was actually building a real life with me. You done?" "No, please." She was sobbing now, full on breaking down on my porch. "I'm so sorry, Michael. I'm so incredibly sorry for everything. For the backup plan, for the things I said, for treating you like you were disposable. You didn't deserve any of that." She looked up at me with red, desperate eyes. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know I don't deserve another chance, but I'm asking anyway because I have nowhere else to turn. I love you. I still love you. And I was too arrogant and stupid to realize what I had until I'd already destroyed it." I almost laughed. Didn't, but almost. "Please, Michael, please give me another chance. Let me prove that I can be better. We can go to counseling. I'll do whatever you want. I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you." "No. Michael, 3 weeks ago I was weak and mediocre. Now I'm stable and loyal. Funny how that changed when Donald didn't work out. I was angry. I wasn't thinking. You were thinking fine. You just had better options then." She opened her mouth, closed it. "We're done. Divorce is going through. Don't come back here. Michael, please, I love you." I closed the door, locked it, went back to the kitchen. I heard her standing there for another minute. Then footsteps. Car door. Engine. Gone. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. I meant what I said. "I'm sorry. I love you." I blocked it, deleted it, finished making dinner, slept fine that night. Amanda's restraining order should have been enough to keep Fiona away. It wasn't. The first violation happened at Amanda's gym. Fiona showed up on a Tuesday morning, waited in the parking lot for Amanda to finish her workout, then tried to approach her near her car. Amanda called the police. They showed up, documented the violation, gave Fiona a warning. The second violation was at Amanda's house. Fiona drove there on a Saturday afternoon and sat on the porch, waiting to explain. Amanda's husband Donald came out and told her to leave. She refused. Police were called. Another documented violation. But the third time? That's when things got real. It was a Wednesday morning, about 6 weeks after everything had gone down. Amanda was jogging her usual route through the neighborhood park. The same route Fiona had documented in her research folder months earlier. Fiona had apparently been watching, waiting, planning her moment. She confronted Amanda on the trail. According to the police report I saw later, Fiona initially tried the apologetic approach, crying, saying she just needed Amanda to understand that her feelings for Donald were real, that she'd made mistakes, but everything came from genuine emotion. Amanda told her to leave her alone and tried to walk away. That's when Fiona grabbed her arm. Amanda pulled away, told her again to leave. Fiona grabbed her harder this time, nails digging in, getting in Amanda's face, voice rising. You don't deserve him. You've never deserved him. You're just some basic suburban wife who got lucky and doesn't even appreciate what she has. Amanda tried to push her away. Fiona shoved her back, then Fiona actually swung at her. The punch connected with Amanda's jaw, not hard enough to knock her down, but hard enough to split her lip and leave a visible mark. Amanda stumbled backward, blood running down her chin, shocked and trying to process what just happened. Two other joggers saw the whole thing and immediately intervened. One guy stepped between them while his girlfriend called 911. Fiona was screaming now, completely unhinged, trying to get past him to get to Amanda again. You ruined everything. You and your pathetic marriage and your boring life. If you'd just left him like you were supposed to. The police arrived within 5 minutes, found Fiona still screaming at Amanda while the two joggers physically blocked her. Amanda was sitting on a park bench with a bloody lip and visible bruises forming on her arm where Fiona had grabbed her. The joggers gave their statements as witnesses. The whole thing was documented with photos, witness accounts, physical evidence. Fiona was arrested on the spot, assault and battery. Third restraining order violation, harassment. Stalking charges were added based on the pattern of behavior. My attorney called me that afternoon. Your ex-wife just got arrested for assaulting Amanda in the park. Jesus Christ. Split her lip, left bruises on her arm, multiple witnesses. She's facing actual criminal charges now, not just restraining order violations. This is serious jail time, if convicted. Good. The prosecutor wants to know if you'd be willing to provide your evidence. The stalking timeline, the research folder showing Fiona had documented Amanda's jogging routes. It establishes premeditation. Send them everything. I forwarded the complete file to the prosecutor's office that evening. The same evidence that had destroyed Fiona's career now proved she'd been planning this confrontation. The research folder showing Amanda's daily routine, her jogging schedule, the routes she took, it all painted a picture of calculated stalking leading to a premeditated assault. The prosecutor charged her with felony assault, criminal stalking, and multiple restraining order violations. Fiona's attorney tried to negotiate a plea deal, but the prosecutor wasn't interested. Too many violations, too much evidence, too clear a pattern of escalating harassment, culminating in violence. The trial took 4 days. I attended as a witness, brought my documented evidence, testified about finding the stalking folders and the systematic nature of her planning. The prosecutor walked me through each folder, each document, each piece of evidence. The jury saw everything. The research folder with Amanda's daily routine, documented down to the minute. The timeline with its calculated phases. The fake AI photos with their metadata, proving they were fabricated. The two joggers testified about watching Fiona punch Amanda, described how she'd been screaming, completely unhinged, trying to get past them to attack Amanda again, how they'd physically had to restrain her until police arrived. Amanda testified about the months of harassment, the fear she'd felt discovering someone had been tracking her every move for months. She broke down on the stand talking about finding out her kid's school schedule had been in Fiona's research folder. I didn't feel safe anywhere, she said. Not at the gym, not at the grocery store, not even jogging in my own neighborhood. She'd been watching me everywhere. Donald testified about firing Fiona and her subsequent obsessive behavior, the calls to his office, the emails to his work account, the messages she'd sent claiming they had a real connection that his wife didn't understand. Fiona's attorney tried the mental health defense, claiming she'd been experiencing a breakdown, that she needed treatment, not punishment. Brought in a psychiatrist who testified about stress and emotional dysregulation, and how sometimes people engage in behaviors that don't reflect their true character. The prosecutor destroyed it by showing the timeline on the courtroom screen. This wasn't a breakdown. This was 3 months of calculated planning, followed by months of deliberate harassment. The defendant created a spreadsheet with color-coded phases. She researched AI image generation software. She documented an innocent woman's daily routine, including her children's schedules. She calculated trust percentages and emotional vulnerability metrics. The defendant knew exactly what she was doing every step of the way. This wasn't mental illness. This was premeditated stalking, fraud, and ultimately violence. The closing arguments took most of the 4th day. Fiona's lawyer painted her as a woman who'd made mistakes driven by genuine feelings that got twisted. The prosecutor painted her as a calculating manipulator who'd planned to destroy multiple lives for financial gain and status. The jury took 2 hours to reach a verdict, guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced her to 18 months in county jail, followed by 3 years probation and mandatory psychiatric treatment. Permanent restraining orders for both Amanda and me. If she violated those after release, she'd go back to prison. Fiona's mom tried to make a statement during sentencing about how her daughter wasn't a bad person, just made mistakes. The judge cut her off. Your daughter stalked an innocent woman for months, created fake evidence to destroy her marriage, then physically assaulted her when the plan failed. These aren't mistakes. This is a pattern of malicious, calculated behavior with complete disregard for others. The sentence stands. Ricardo met me outside the courthouse after sentencing. Well, that's finally over. Yeah, I felt something close to relief, maybe closure. She really couldn't just take the L and move on. Some people can't handle losing. They'd rather burn everything down than accept consequences. She burned it down all right, just not the way she planned. The divorce took 3 months total to finalize. Fiona's attorney filed some countersuit claiming I'd invaded her privacy by accessing her laptop. My attorney crushed it in about 10 minutes of oral arguments. The judge took one look at the fake AI photos, the stalking timeline documenting Amanda's daily movements, and the breakup script where Fiona rated my career prospects against Donald's executive compensation package, then asked Fiona's lawyer if he was seriously trying to argue that privacy rights extend to evidence of planned fraud and potential criminal harassment. Case dismissed, countersuit denied, divorce proceedings finalized. 6 months later, I signed the lease on a new apartment downtown in early September. 2-bedroom place with floor-to-ceiling windows, completely different part of the city. Sold the house in the suburbs for slightly above asking. The new owners were a young couple with a kid on the way. Full of optimism. Good for them. Started dating someone new in October. Met Rachel through a work conference. She's a cybersecurity consultant, which means she actually understands what I do and doesn't rate my career prospects against executives with bigger salaries. We've been taking it slow. Dinners, movies, actual conversations about actual things. She asked about my divorce once, and I gave her the basics without the drama. She nodded and said, "Some people view relationships as transactions. You're better off without that." Exactly. Fiona's serving her sentence in county jail. According to Ricardo, who heard through his attorney friend, she's in the psychiatric treatment program, doing the bare minimum required for potential early release consideration. Apparently, she's making progress, though it's hard to say if that's genuine growth or just playing the system. She's got another year to serve before she's even eligible for parole, and given her history of violating restraining orders and her complete inability to accept responsibility without court orders forcing it, the parole board probably won't be sympathetic. Either way, not my problem anymore. Donald and Amanda? Their marriage survived. Turned out Amanda was tougher than Fiona gave her credit for. They went to couples counseling, worked through the trust issues, came out stronger. Donald even sent me a brief email thanking me for the warning. I appreciated it, but didn't respond. We're not friends. We're just two guys who got targeted by the same person and came out the other side. Ricardo and I still meet up every weekend. He asked me a few months ago if I regretted how I handled it. You ever wish you just confronted her quietly instead of burning everything down? I thought about it for maybe 3 seconds. No, she was 3 weeks from destroying Amanda's life and leaving me like I was disposable. She doesn't get to walk away from that without consequences. Fair enough, he nodded. To consequences. To consequences. Now I'm living in a new apartment, dating someone who doesn't track people's net worth on LinkedIn or rate their partners like stock portfolios, and sleeping fine at night. Turns out the best revenge isn't elaborate. It's just refusing to be someone's stepping stone. It's documentation, evidence, and letting people experience the natural consequences of their calculated actions. And yeah, being good at your job helps too. Knowing how to properly document evidence and build an airtight case? That's not luck. That's skill. Fiona thought I was weak, mediocre, some pathetic IT guy whose career had plateaued. She thought I'd be easy to discard once she'd secured her upgrade. She was wrong, and that's the whole story.